I'm speaking to you from Shiloh, where Joshua set up the tabernacle, where the tabernacle was the center for 369 years. All of the children of Israel would come here to worship God. I'm active in the modern re-established Shiloh on behalf of the children, on behalf of the terror victims. And I go out and I speak in different places around the world. I'd like you to see a series of clips from TV appearances, from speaking appearances, in which I deliver my message for the biblical heartland of Israel. In our times, just as in the time that the tabernacle stood in Shiloh, we have to stand on our own 2 feet, fight our own battles, but do it according to God's plan.
That's where the difference comes in.
Joshua was speaking to the Israelites, and he said, "How long will you be lax in coming to take possession of the land that the Lord God of your fathers has given you?" When Joshua spoke these words, he wasn't just saying it to the Israelites of that time. He was talking about all times. He was talking about our times right now.
We want the complete land of Israel to be under God's sovereignty.
Absolutely.
And we're doing everything in our power to make that happen. In 1967, Israel won a war called the Six-Day War. We won it in 6 days, and then we rested because the 7th day was the Sabbath.
All right.
Now, no normal country wins a war in 6 days. On the 7th day they rest. So too in our times. The whole world talks about the Israeli-occupied West Bank, so-called Israeli-occupied West Bank, because you can't occupy illegally something that God gave to you.
Amen.
It is pivotal in the Messianic process that we have to reclaim that biblical heartland that Shiloh represents.
Up next, the battle for the biblical heartland. Hear from the author who's urging Christians and Jews to stand together.
We invite all Christians to join with us in this. Yes. Christians and Jews who understand the threat of Islam need to be working together to build up the biblical heartland, because that is the front lines of the battle against terrorism. We've suffered disproportionately from the terrorism. You take a walk in my neighborhood and you come to 3 teenagers just on one block who were killed by terrorists in separate terror incidents, in bombings, in shooting attacks on a high school. We're building for the future. We're rebuilding the biblical heartland.
David Rubin is the former mayor of Shiloh. As a religious Jew, he's at odds with the Obama administration's call for the end of Jewish settlement expansion.
To the Obama administration, I would say, hands off. This is God's land. You don't have a right to stop people from living here, from raising their families here, and from building for the future here. Because this is God's land. This is the land that God gave to the people of Israel.
Joining us now is David Rubin. He's the author of God, Israel, and Shiloh, or Shiloh as we know it in this country, Returning to the Land. And David, thanks for being with us. What's it like to live in the West Bank? You lived there.
We believe strongly in our right to this land, to the land of Israel, to the heartland of Israel. God gave the land of Israel to the Jewish people.
David, we stand with you. And ladies and gentlemen, David Rubin's book, you want to get it, God, Israel, and Shiloh, or Shiloh, Returning to the Land. It's very precious. This isn't just some miscellaneous territory that should be given up for peace, land for peace. That is an illusion. But this is available in bookstores and on the internet. And David, thank you so much, and may the Lord continue to give you strength.
Thank you. The first Prime Minister of Israel, when he made the declaration of the independence of the State of Israel, he said, "We want to be a nation like all the other nations." Well, I beg to differ with him. Israel's role, as it says in the book of Exodus, is to be a kingdom of ministers and a holy nation. And as it says in Isaiah, to be a light unto the nations, and to be a spiritual example for the nations, so that the nations will want to bless Israel, as it says in Genesis 12. Those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And I saw blood coming out of my leg, almost like an open fire hydrant. I quickly turned around to see my 3-year-old son and to see if he was okay. I turned to him, I said, "Ruby, are you okay?" My son's name is Ruby, Reuven. I said, "Ruby, are you all right?" He stared straight ahead. His eyes were wide open. His mouth was wide open. No sounds were coming out. He looked like he was trying to cry or to scream, but he wasn't able to. The bullet that went into my son's neck missed his brainstem by 1 millimeter. Anyone who believes in the Almighty knows that it's God's miracles that cause things like that to happen. I know that I tried 5 or 6 times turning the ignition, shifting gears, park, drive, neutral, everything to get the car to start. Finally, the car started as if it had never had a problem starting before. I drove nearly 120 miles an hour to get to the next community where the ambulance would be. And now he's telling me they couldn't start the car. And to this day, not one person has been able to tell me why the car went dead, why the car started again, and why it promptly went dead again. A man comes up to me I had never seen before. He says, "David, I'm the public relations director for this hospital. I just want you to know that you are the 1,000th victim of terrorism to be hospitalized in this hospital in the past year and a half." I wasn't quite sure how to deal with that information. I thought maybe I was supposed to get a prize.
But as a result of that attack, I was determined that I was going to do something for all of the children of the Shiloh block of communities. And we've started therapy programs and educational programs to return the lost innocence of childhood to these children. I'd be happy to speak to your congregation, to your group, on your television show. You can be in touch with me at the addresses listed below.